Hi there, I just wanted to do a quick video to compare Google search with voice against Siri. And there are a couple of videos around that are doing this, and I think that I think most of them are pretty good. But there's a few extra things I wanted to try because I think that some of them are really just comparing very generic features, whereas there are some pretty cool features in both that are quite specific to that particular application, and they have kind of different uses. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some general things like ask about the weather, search for something nearby, ask a sports score, and then I'm going to try and interact with my phone, which makes it quite interesting because one definitely has an advantage over the other, and then do some general searches and see which one we like the best. One thing that will kind of throw both of them off a little bit is I'm in the US. I live in New York, and but I'm British, so I have an accent that American applications sometimes find difficult to understand. Now, I've set Siri to understand British English, whereas Google doesn't really have that luxury. But I have found that Google actually works really well, even though I have a pretty terrible accent from an American point of view. So let's see how we get on with those. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask pretty general questions about the weather. So let's try with Google. How warm is it today?
The temperature today in Brooklyn will be between 48 degrees and 36 degrees.
So that's pretty cool. Let's see if it will understand the Scott Forstall question about needing an umbrella or needing a coat. Let's see. Do I need a coat today?
The temperature today in Brooklyn will be between 48 degrees and 36 degrees.
So you see you get exactly the same response, but it understands the context. So let's try Siri. Siri should work fine because I think almost everybody's seen this before. How warm is it today?
The high for today will be 48 degrees, and the low will be 34 degrees.
So I think you get a little bit more feedback there, but it's really marginal. But let's just try the code question. Do I need a coat today?
The low temperature will be 34 degrees.
So it understands the context a little bit more because I'm asking whether or not I need a coat, and it's saying, well, the lowest it's going to be is 34 degrees. But that's pretty much there, pretty much even. I actually slightly prefer the Google one. It's a little bit more sprightly, and I prefer the fact that it comes up in the same interface rather than showing the weather interface, which now looking a little bit dated on the Apple side. So now I'm going to ask some sports questions. I'm going to ask about my favorite American football team, the Cincinnati Bengals, and then I'm going to ask about the English football team that I follow, which is Leicester City, which will be difficult for both to understand, I think. So let's see how they get on. How are the Cincinnati Bengals getting on?
I don't understand. How are the Cincinnati Bengals getting on?
Now, because
I could search the web for it.
Because I used a bit of a getting on is kind of I guess a British English thing. I don't know if Americans say that kind of thing. It didn't understand. So I'm going to be a little bit more precise. Who are the Cincinnati Bengals playing today?
Cincinnati is down 3-0 right now.
So it tells me the score, but it doesn't tell me who they're playing. Which is kind of interesting. But I mean, I can see on the screen that it's the Denver Broncos, but yeah, it's not what I expected. Now let's see if it can understand Leicester City, and I'm almost 100% sure it won't. What was the score between Watford and Leicester City yesterday?
Looking. Would you like me to search the web for what was the score between Watford and Leicester City yesterday?
Now if I say yes, I'm pretty sure it will find the score, but it's kind of not really the point. That's not what you want to happen. If you're driving in a car or something, or you just want to know right away. But it's not the end of the world. It's pretty good. If I hit search the web.
Searching the web for what was the score between Watford and Leicester City yesterday.
Yes, you do that. And now I can see it's the first hit. Watford 2, Leicester City 1. So both my teams letting me down this weekend. So let's see how Google gets on with all three of those. Go back to Google. How are the Cincinnati Bengals getting on? So it's done a Google search, which is a little bit better than saying I don't understand, but it's still not quite what I want. So let me see. That's the second question. Who are the Cincinnati Bengals playing today?
The Bengals are trailing the Broncos 3-0 in the first quarter.
So you get the voice feedback that they're playing the Broncos, which you didn't get from Siri. I think I slightly prefer this over Siri, to be honest. So let's see if they recognise Leicester City. And given that Google is very US-centric, I'm not expecting a winner here, but let's see. What was the score between Watford and Leicester City yesterday? And it's got no chance. I'm going to give it one more chance. How did Leicester City do yesterday? Still not perfect. I think do and to. Again, I think because Americans blunt their T's, so they sound like D's. This is something that I'm going to have a problem with accent-wise. But maybe if Google becomes a little bit more location aware, well, not no location aware, but because I'm in New York, but accent aware, this might be something that does a little bit better. So I think Siri just about got the edge there because I think it understands my accent. But again, I do prefer the Google feedback. So let's do some map searches now, the old famous Apple Maps, and see who does best here. So I'm just going to ask some pretty basic questions. How far is the nearest Starbucks?
The drive from your location to Starbucks is 2.4 miles.
Wow, I didn't realise I was so far from Starbucks. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's try something else. How far is the nearest Trader Joe's? So this time it didn't put it on the map, which is a little bit disappointing. And I don't know whether that's because it just prefers Starbucks or it doesn't know where Trader Joe's is, but Trader Joe's is pretty much about a half a mile further than Starbucks on exactly the same street. So that's a little bit strange. Let's ask it some questions about the movies. What is playing at the movies now?
Movies playing in Brooklyn.
Now I like this. It knows where I am, and you get a couple of pictures and stuff in the search. So I'm kind of liking this. Let's just try one other thing. What time is Walking Dead showing tonight? And you just get a search, general search, but that's not too bad. So let's see how Siri gets along with the same questions. How far is the nearest Starbucks?
Getting directions to Starbucks.
And that's nice that it actually goes to the map and shows you the directions.
Starting route to Starbucks.
Although
Head
that's,
northwest on Dyckman Street.
this is kind of assuming that I'm out in a car or on foot, and that's probably not quite what I want. It's a little bit too helpful, but I appreciate the effort there. So let's try something else. How far is the nearest Trader Joe's?
Getting directions to Trader Joe's.
So again, this time it goes to the Maps app, and it does actually show you the map again.
Starting route to Trader Joe's.
Although
Head northwest on Wolcott Street.
I've got to admit, I don't like it doing that. I might not want to get there. I might just want to know where it is. So let's try one more thing. Let's try the movies. What's playing at the movies today? And I think we have a famous Siri crash. Oh no, it just got stopped.
I found quite a number of movies playing nearby today.
Now, I do like this because, you know, you're interacting directly with the phone to an extent. So if I wanted to go and see Wreck-It Ralph, I click on this, and, you know, I can probably watch a clip, a trailer, I beg your pardon, or order a ticket or whatever. I've got Rotten Tomatoes here, or tomatoes, 84%. I do like that, and you know, I think that it's quite handy being able to interact with the system, and I wish, or I hope, that Google can also do that at some point, or Siri improves. Now, speaking of interacting with the phone, there's a lot of things that Siri can do that obviously Google cannot do at all. I'm just going to give a couple of examples. It doesn't like that. Play songs by Depeche Mode.
Here's Depeche Mode.
Send tweet. I am loving Depeche Mode.
Here's your tweet. Ready to send it?
No.
To continue, you can send.
So,
Okay, I won't send it.
no, I don't, because you didn't understand me. Although that was a little bit, it wasn't great English saying I am loving. But you get the idea. You can send tweets. Send tweet. I like Google search.
Here's your tweet. Ready to send it?
No.
To continue, you can send, cancel, review, include location, mention someone in your address book, add hashtag words, or change it.
No.
Okay.
Okay, that's enough of that. With Google search, with the Google voice search, you would expect that it would be able to interact with something like Twitter, given it's a web application, but it surprisingly can't, so let me show you. Send tweet. I like Google voice search. And actually it misunderstood what I said, but it doesn't even go to the Twitter page, which is a little bit disappointing. Let me try something else. Update Facebook status. And again, it doesn't really understand you, whereas Siri will. Update Facebook status.
Okay. What would you like to say?
I have just discovered Google voice search.
I updated your Facebook status. Ready to post it?
Post.
Okay, I posted it.
And that's pretty cool. I have to say that overall, I think Google Voice sounds a little bit more modern. It's definitely a much quicker, which is amazing given that there's no real front side logic or understanding, whereas Siri is supposed to have a little bit of logic that's dependent upon the phone. At least that's what we're told. Otherwise, it should be able to work on any phone. But yeah, I think that both are pretty good. I just would give the edge, I think, to Google. Although Siri being able to interact with the phone is really cool, but I'm not really too sure that I'd rely on it for sending a tweet or updating a Facebook status normally. It just really isn't that practical. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know what you think in the comments.